Weiji, do you want to start?
Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this Growing Up in Science online open forum. My name is Yael Niv, and here as your as hosts for this event are Weiji Ma, Nancy Padilla, and Mina Cikara is not here right now, but she will be in the second session of the day. I wanted to, so the idea of this event today is to have a work session, and what we want to do right now is introduce the work session and the goals and what we want you to do as part of the work session. I want to start by saying that the hosts that are leading this, we are not experts on or authorities on this topic. We're here to listen and to facilitate a work session with you. This is not our scholarship. We're not Black. And in fact, there are the two sides of getting Black people to basically lead this kind of session. And I should say that we did invite several, but we understand one, this was organized very quickly, but the other thing is this is an allyship session meant for people who are not necessarily minoritized, people who are white, to be thinking about what we can do, what we need to do, because the problem of racism, systemic racism in academia, in the US, but not only in the US, in academia in general, is not a problem that racial minorities need to solve. It's not a problem that it's a problem they have to deal with all the time, but it's not a problem that is on them to solve. It's a problem on all of us to solve. And that's why we wanted to do this session really as a work session where, as I said before, we are not scholars on this, but this does not absolve us from the responsibility of becoming more literate, of learning, educating ourselves, and thinking really hard about what we can do from the points of view of advantage that we have, from the points of view of strength and authority and privilege that many of us have in our different roles in academia and in life, in our life in general. So the goals of this session is, on the one hand, and one thing that I meant to say before too, that not only is it our responsibility to do this, but also we don't want to put the burden, and we should not be putting the burden on people of color here to come and tell us what to do. It is not their job to, on top of the oppression and racism that they have to deal with, and that takes a huge emotional toll and physical and time, labor toll. It's not their job to come and tell us what to do. It's our job to think, what can we do? To go and read what people have done, what people have said, what people of color have written on this topic, and to figure out what we need to do. So our goals are two. One is to listen to the experiences in academic science of people of color and other disadvantaged groups. But I preface that with saying they have no responsibility. None of you has a responsibility here to open up trauma and to tell us about your traumatic experience in order to educate the rest of us. We will, if you want to share, we are here to listen and to validate, but you do not have to feel obligated to share traumatic experiences. The second goal, which is the most important goal for this work session, is to plan active, specific allyship actions that will help dismantle systemic oppression and racism in our local and wider spheres. And I'm going to cash this out shortly. So the main vehicle for the work that we want to do together today is this Google form, tinyurl.com/concrete steps. And in this form, what we want you to do, and some of you have already shared, and thank you for that, is to share your experiences and your thoughts and the products of the work that you do, thinking about what you can do to be an ally and dismantle systemic racism. Technically, some technical issues, and then I'm going to jump into what exactly that form asks you to do. So you can submit that form more than once. All this, consider everything you submit.
Sorry,
yes.
Yael. Sorry,
yes.
it's Mina. That concrete steps is the Google Doc with action plans. That's not the form.
Oh, so what is the form? Which is the form? Tell me, and I'm changing it immediately. Do you know it?
I think it's allyship.
Allyship, like that? No, I don't think so.
Hillary Richardson just posted it in the chat window.
In the chat, and I can't see the chat for some reason. So can someone? Okay, it did have a shorthand.
GUIS work session.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Manon. Correct.
Session. There we go. So that's it. And I'm going to copy it also to the next slide. So if anybody joins in the middle, they don't get the wrong form. And even to this one. Great. We got it. Thank you. So you can submit this form, not the other one, as often as you like. Once you submit it, you can see other people's responses. So if you want to read other people's responses because you're looking at it and you're kind of blank and not coming up with any ideas, then you can first submit a blank form and see some responses. But so in that light, assume that everything you submit will become public. So anybody can go in and see the submissions. They're all anonymous. What we will do in the second part of today is we will read and discuss the ideas that you write there. We'll also read from the chat. If you want to stay anonymous in the chat, so the form is anonymous, but if you want to stay anonymous in the chat, then please change your name in your Zoom name. The meeting is being recorded. So again, consider everything we're saying here public, and importantly, consider everything we're saying here as this must be a safe space. So we have a group of people who are monitoring the chat. We know about Zoom bombing. We know that this is a risk, but we wanted to make the meeting open to everybody as easily as possible without signing up or registering. So it was the Zoom link was publicly available on Twitter, as you know. But we're monitoring very closely, and if anybody becomes disrespectful or disruptive, we will boot them off promptly. And if we don't, then just send us a message really quickly, and we will do that. Okay, so what is the form about, and what are we asking you to do there? So the form has 4 questions. They're all optional. You don't have to answer all of them. You can contribute where you feel that you want to share thoughts. The first 2 questions are about micro and macro aggressions that either you have experienced or you've seen others commit, or you have committed yourself inadvertently and realized later. And the idea here is to make basically a list of what not to do. We're helping each other make a mental list of these are things that might seem fine, but I've already learned that they are aggression, either because they've happened to me and I have felt aggressed, or I've been called out on them in the past, or just thought about it and realized that that was an aggressive behavior. And the reason is that we basically, I think it's clear why we want to have this collective list and why we don't want to learn this each from our own experience, because we harm other people in the way of that learning. So as much as we can learn from others' experience, and this is not to shame people for admitting that they have committed aggressions. This is really as a tool, like use that as a teaching moment for everybody else so that we can all avoid that in the future. So these are questions 1 and 2. You can also go and read, and I very much encourage you to read the Black and the Ivory hashtag on Twitter. There are many, many, many stories of aggressions there against Black people in academia. They're heart-wrenching and awful, and also for many people, not surprising. Like, we read them and we're like, oh my God, really? It's that extreme? But somehow that's not completely surprising, because we know that those things happen, and but it's important to really register them and think, have I ever done something like that? Is something that I've done, could it be construed in that way? Could it be received by someone else in that way? And how do I avoid that in the future? So that's 1 and 2. Question number 3 is about pinpointing systems of oppression and systemic racism in your specific area or work domain that are targets for dismantling. And we'd love to hear from you on question 3, but I want to say that question 3 is really kind of, that's not where we want you to focus most of your effort, because saying broad things is useful, is important to put as goals, but it's not necessarily actionable. And where we want you to put most of the work, and where we'll spend most of the time in the afternoon session, is on question number 4, which is, what can you do? What do you plan to do in order to be an ally on different time scales? So tomorrow, so we're working on this today, but what about tomorrow? What about next week? What about in a month? What about in a year? How do we not make this a one-off, and a one-off talking? How do we make this actionable, real, and continuous? And I want to encourage you to be as specific as possible, thinking about making your goals SMART, where SMART is an acronym that you can, I'm not going to go into the whole idea here. You can read about it very easily at various places on the internet, but the idea is to make your goals specific, not something general, but something that is actually measurable, that you can ask yourself, have I achieved this goal, or what rate am I achieving it? Attractive is making a goal that you will want to do, that you will want to achieve. Realistic is, of course, I can say that my goal is to redistribute wealth, but that's not a realistic goal for me personally, but maybe I can cash that out in a way that's realistic in my sphere of influence. And time frame. So when are you going to do this? Is this something that you are going to do starting next week? Are you going to put yourself some, every month I have in my calendar an hour where I've marked off that I'm going to sit and think, what else can I do in order to dismantle systemic racism? What are you good at? Like, physically, can you put it in a calendar somewhere? And I want to add one more thing here. When you're thinking of 4, of what you're going to do, please also think about 1 and 2 in terms of bystander intervention. So what will you do if you see someone doing one of these things from 1 and 2? Again, 1 and 2 are the things that are what not to do, but here's what yes to do, both what you will do and what you will do to stop someone else doing 1 and 2, or to repair the harm that they have done to someone. So those are the goals. And the idea is now to break, for all of you to get off this Zoom call and go do the work of thinking, reading. I mean, of course, in 1 hour, you can't do a ton of reading, but really kind of diving deep into these questions, and especially in question number 4 of what you can do moving forward. Write them in that document, and we'll reconvene here at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time to talk about what you put in the document. And before I finish that, I want to ask Weiji, Nancy, do you want to add?
I would say that was wonderful. Thank you.
I have one practical issue, which is that many people have noted that we have reached the cap of 300 participants. I apologize for that. I thought the cap was 500. I was told it was 500. I'm currently trying to increase it to 500 or 1,000. There's a form to be filled out. I'm also trying to do the live streaming through YouTube. I hope that one of these options will be in place once we restart. but the URL might have changed, in which case I will announce that on the Growing Up in Science website and on Twitter. So if the URL changes for the meeting because it's necessary to accommodate more than 300 people, it will be announced on the Growing Up in Science website and on Twitter a few minutes before 1 p.m. So please stay tuned. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you, everybody. And we will see you in an hour and a bit.
Hi. I was able to make it.
Oh, Mina, hi.
Yes, hi. I don't know if you saw it in the email. I know you were in a meeting right up until here, but I was able to start the Google Doc.
I saw.
Okay, good. And so I started to integrate some of the responses.
Are we going to go into, I think we were going to go into a breakout room. Right?
I'm setting that up right now.
Do that? Okay, so let's wait and do that.
Yeah. It's taking me a bit to add select all the people individually, but we'll get that done.